Today I'm putting the documentary called AKI by Darlene Naponse. So in Anishinaabe woman, the word Aki means earth or land. The film is a meditative and visually immersive documentary. It is set in Atikameksheng Anishnawbek in northern Ontario here in Canada. The film spans over several seasonal years. It is unscripted and basically it unfolds without a lot of narration or dialogue. And the idea is that the filmmaker wants us to be immersed in the land, listening and experiencing through the sounds and the visuals, and also the textures of wind, water, animal, and human life. It is a really beautiful film, and I hope that you get to see it on the big screen.
Quiet and it's dark and that image appears, it's always, you're like, okay, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, this is why we make films, because we want to put it like on that screen and have that audience and have that excitement. Yeah, so it was really beautiful last night to have that and to see it in the way that we make it for those large screens and have it at TIFF and to have that audience and to hear that cinema is so beautiful, cinema 3 at TIFF. So the proper image and sound and everything. So
I know.
yeah, so it's we're very excited and so grateful.
I'm really happy for you, Darlene.
Thank you.
So you joined us as we were talking about Aki with filmmaker Darlene Naponse. I'm really excited to talk about this film with you because I've seen your other work and I know you're also a cinephile. So there's a lot of we can talk about in this film. But this is your first documentary, and when did you decide that you wanted to take us to the land and kind of bring us kind of home with you?
Yeah. So as like in the other part of my life, when I'm not being a filmmaker, I do a lot of community work, and so I also do a lot of work around governance and sovereignty. And so for many years, I was writing a constitution with community, and in that process, just learning so much about our history, and I was like, I really want to share this, and but also I don't want to hear the English language. I don't want the English language to be, so that's where it was born from. So right away there's no going to be no English language, and then so it evolved to. But I also love this non-narrative world of so there's many films and filmmakers that have made the works like that, but also even the sense of just being able to let the image tell that story, and so it was really part of that. Yeah, so it all evolved from that, the love of cinema and the love of the land.
I love how you take us over. It feels like a year, but I'm sure the process itself was longer than a year of the seasons in the community and the land. And so you did some of the work. Did you do some of the camera work yourself too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
With your team. So I kind of want to ask you about choosing times that you were going to actually more purposefully go film and locations.
Yeah, so we start in winter, and that is when we tell stories, and so that was we edited around that, but we actually started shooting in a rainstorm.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's
bold. We had all set up everything, and then it just was this incredible rainstorm on our first day of shooting. So there's actually a shot of this, the rain drops on the water, and so that was our first day. So it was, but there was a lot of intention and a lot of protocols around how we were doing it. We shot in blocks, and there was no script. And it was really driven because of my obviously familiarity of the community. It's my community, and knowing what was going to happen and just following people on that day. And we didn't change anything. If there was a water bottle or something or we're the clothing somebody's wearing. As a filmmaker, the aesthetics is always wait, I'm just going to push you over here and do that. Yes. There was nothing like that. It was our work to be like behind there, to not interrupt their lives, and to find that frame. Yeah, so it was really about that intention of being safe, making that safe space for what was around us.
And it almost seems like it's just a day in the life or a day in nature.
Yeah.
When I was watching the film, I found it to be really meditative. And I told a friend, I said, go see it, because I feel like we also need a pause. And it was sort of a way for us to kind of slow down even our own heart rate.
Oh, wow.
You know,
nice.
Because of the soundscapes, and you also included some beautiful music too, that maybe you can talk about.
Yeah.
The intentionality of also the soundscapes and kind of grounding us in some way.
No, as a filmmaker, when I was doing Falls Around Her, I remember I was starting to build it, and I was like, because I love the soundscapes in films, I was like, it was always making space for that in the edit and how we shoot. And so I've always brought that into every film. So when we were shooting, we had some really amazing sound recorders who are artists on their own. And so they were out going and just picking up all of these sounds. And so when we were there, we were just like trying to be in that space and just allow that. And so building that in the edit suite, like always having that in the back of my mind of like knowing that this film is going to live even long, in another space. And so the soundscape done by the amazing Steve Monroe, that sound design and all of that. And then Chris Dirksen, who is just this incredible musician. Really, I love cinema, but I love the these big orchestras, and I was like, how do I get that in my films? And then I met Chris Dirksen, and I was like, oh my god. But she's so talented, and the way she saw each scenes and brought that, it was just so incredible and so amazing, and what an amazing talented human being. And so it was really beautiful to be able to work with all of these people who are so talented, but also is like being able to just find our own spaces in that, and just like slow down ourselves too.
For sure. I could imagine that. And thank you for sharing that, because I feel like that I kind of want to go back to the soundscaping sometimes, just to kind of, there are moments there that I think are really pivotal, but I'll let the audiences watch the film so they can find their own special moments, right?
Because when we tell stories, it's just not the visual, like the visual is the impact, but also is like that those moments of like of the sound, just like it can tell us another story.
For sure, as much as the camera does,
as much
right?
as the camera.
I love it. I was reading some notes in preparation, and I like how you're saying this is not really a film. Can you tell folks what that means to you in terms of being able to not just bring us to your community, but also share stories about Indigenous communities that are not about the usual themes?
Yes, and I think sometimes when we were starting to like roll it out and think about our press, it was as like because people want a certain something, right?
Sure,
they want tropey things. They want a certain narrative around Indigenous stories. So I really wanted to challenge everybody on that too. This is how we're going to tell our story. Right. And I think that's a representation too within TIFF this year. Like there's so many amazing filmmakers telling their stories. And so in the support of the Indigenous Screen Office, like we have that. We have all of that around us. And so it was very much challenging a lot of a lot of people just to see Indigenous stories in a different way, but also see Indigenous communities. In my community, like, we have over 100 years of mining in it, and it's, and everything is driven. And Sudbury, which is currently in our territory, as I say, you're just living here. It's not yours. And because none of this land is ours, right? We're just like caretakers. And so we and that's how we approached everything, but I really wanted to like for people to understand that is our history. Quiet, and it's to allow the images to tell that story of over 100 years of mining in our area. That there's a huge footprint that they have made. And that is I wake up worrying about these things.
Of course.
Of that environmental chaos, and that it's there. So it was very much allowing these images, but coming across and finding that industrial space in a different way, and noting how we live in that and around it. Exactly. And so those ravens circling that super stack, which is like iconic for Sudbury, right? And that's our history. And so being able to tell that in a different way, and I hope it makes an impact and people really think about like how important it is to protect the land. For sure.
So we started by you speaking of highlights from last night's premiere. What was the response from the audience that maybe just will stay with you through this journey?
Yeah, no, I love that. There was a lot of people who was like, I want to go home. And it made them reflect about home. So that was really, really beautiful, and the calmness and just like the meditativeness. And so I feel like we did our job in that way. And it is like, just like being able to like, I love my community, and just to see it, to show it, and like to share it with the world in that way. But people came out like peaceful in some sense. So that was nice. Yeah. Absolutely. So it was really good. And I think it's timely. There's so much happening in the world, and we're so distracted. And so to have an audience sit for that long and to feel that. Yes. So it was really special. Yeah. And it's, I'm glad. I mean, like I said, that's how I felt, but I feel like once you're in that community, quote unquote, of cinema, that's also another layer of sharing the story as well, right? And I also think too is just like going back to the love of cinema is just like, and challenging the audience, challenging ourselves to see Indigenous sovereignty in cinema in that way too, is just like and seeing it in such a different way.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also being okay with silence and sounds.
Okay with
just sounds, right?
Yeah.
My time's up, Darlene.
Oh, I know
we can do a master class because I want to ask you about other cinematic things. But I'm really happy for you again with AKI. You've reminded us to be grounded and find our space in the land and nature.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you again.
Likewise.